Welcome in, y'all. We are recapping week 11 and looking to the future of what these results mean. How is this going to affect the future for all these teams? And, what did we learn this week? So we're going to kind of go game by game here. We're going to start with the Chargers visiting Jacksonville. And wow, an absolute beatdown that, it's one thing to pick Jacksonville to win, but I don't think anyone saw this absolute beatdown coming. I mean, Justin Herbert only threw for 81 yards. They were entirely inefficient on the ground, rushing 16 times for only 42 yards. I mean, Chargers just couldn't get it going. And Jacksonville, it's not like Lawrence had a big day or anything. They just had a slow, methodical beatdown via the ground game. They ran the ball 47 times to the tune of 192 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's just domination right there. And this is what I was worried about with this Charger team. They were 7-3 last week, coming off a big home win against Pittsburgh. And in my power ranking tiers last week, I still had the Chargers below like a lot of Super Bowl contenders. Like I had them below maybe 10 teams because I don't fully trust them. They keep having performances that are just subpar. I know they're injured, and that's a big reason why. But this is a tough one for that team, and these two teams are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. And that gives Jacksonville the tiebreaker. Jacksonville now has the tiebreaker over both the Chargers and the Chiefs. That's going to be very, very important down the stretch. So great performance by them and a huge win at home. Going to move on to the next one we'll talk about. Pittsburgh winning this game 34-12 over the Bengals. The score isn't entirely reflective of the game. Pittsburgh was ahead the entire time and controlled the game, but it was a lot closer in the fourth. It was 20-12, almost halfway through the quarter, I think. So, the Bengals were right there. The Steelers, they played pretty good ball. They held back a Bengals offense that's been firing on all cylinders, and a Bengals offense that, threw the ball all over Pittsburgh last time they met. Rodgers gets hurt in this one. I haven't heard if he's going to be missing any time. I heard there is an issue with that left hand, and, when it's a left hand, he's still, it's not his throwing hand, so as soon as it's not going to cause major problems, you'd expect him to be back out there. But it does depend on the severity of it. Really nothing crazy, stat-wise stands out. They were relatively similar on the ground, almost similar-ish in the air. You had the interception from Flacco. That's a big deal there. But like I said, this game was fairly close, and the Steelers just pulled ahead at the end. And really just comes down to, especially with Burrow out, the Steelers are just a slightly better team right now, and it showed in this one. They bounced back off of that loss in LA last week and got a much-needed win, and they still hold on to first place in the division. It's going to be hard to keep it up. They travel to play 7-3 Chicago this week. So if they can win that one, it would go a long way because, you drop that one, Baltimore is going to catch you if you keep dropping every other game, So Pittsburgh needs to start having some impressive wins, right? So I think it starts next week, but this was a good win for Pittsburgh. And Cincinnati, you dropped to 3-7. It's pretty grim, man. They would have to win out to make the playoffs. I think they have one, maybe two more games without Burrow, and I just don't think they can win them. They're playing the Patriots this week. That's Patriots have just been cruising, and then they're at Baltimore. So it's just a rough season for Cincinnati overall. But next up, what a game this was. This one was a lot of fun. You had Tampa Bay visiting Buffalo 44-32 in this one. Josh Allen had himself a day. 3 passing, 3 rushing touchdowns. Did have the 2 interceptions. That one early in the game on their first drive was really rough. A little two-handed shovel pass interception. So not great there, not super efficient on the, actually, no, they're fairly efficient on the ground. Tampa Bay, though, they got the ground game going. Sean Tucker had himself a day, 3 touchdowns and 140 all-purpose yards, but it just wasn't enough. This Buffalo team is just the better team right now, given Tampa Bay is riddled with injuries. They're beat up. Morale's probably a little low. They were coming off a loss last weekend. They lose this one now. They drop to 6-4. On paper, Tampa Bay, the division is in risk because the Panthers are 6-5, but really, it would be very surprising if Carolina were to catch Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is just still a much better team than Carolina, and Carolina still has to face San Francisco, the Rams, and the Seahawks among Tampa Bay twice, which I guess that could be to their favor, but I still think it's fairly safe to say Tampa has this division. But I mean they keep losing games right now, and Tampa travels to LA next week to take on the Rams, where they are 6.5-point underdogs. So a tough little stretch for them. Buffalo, a great bounce back win, moving to 7-3. I mean, hot and cold with this Bills team, it feels like. Not exactly sure what we're going to get, but their ceiling is incredibly high. And, with the Chiefs falling off, and, you have the Colts and Patriots up there who have played amazing, right? But they're not proven. And then the Broncos also not proven. And they're a really good record, but the offense can't get going. Is it safe to say, not safe, but to say Buffalo is the favorite to win the AFC right now? I mean, like if I had to pick life on the line, I feel like I would have to go Buffalo right now. Not because I feel great about Buffalo, just because I look at the rest of AFC and I'm like, I don't know if there's anyone else I trust right now, because the Chiefs might not even make the playoffs. And then you look at some of the other teams towards the top, and it's like, we don't know anything about these teams in the playoffs. And roster-wise, are they really that good? Do we trust these teams to win 2 to 3 playoff games? It's tough. So, I mean, Buffalo right now might be the favorite to win the AFC, but the problem is there's a good chance they're on the road to start the playoffs. I mean, New England would have to drop 2 more games. Buffalo does play New England, so they can help with one of those. But even if Buffalo beats New England, if New England wins all of their other games, New England will win this division, and Buffalo will be on the road in the playoffs. So that would certainly be an interesting turn of events there. Then you have this one. The Bears tried to give it away like they did in week 1, but the Vikings couldn't quite close it out this time. The Bears had the last-second field goal to win this one, 19-17. Kind of a sloppy, lower-scoring game. And, when the Bears were up 16-3, it felt like they had controlled most of the game. And it was one of those, if they managed to lose it, that would have been just brutal considering how the game had played out. I think the team that played better and the better team won in this one. McCarthy, man, he's not the guy right now. It's not going well for him. He's missing passes left and right. Jefferson's frustrated. It's a rough time in Minnesota right now. They dropped to 4-6. Their playoff hopes are dashed, in my opinion. Chicago 7-3. They still haven't, beaten a big powerhouse or anything yet, but you can only beat who you play. So 7-3. They currently sit in first place in the NFC North, and they control their own destiny. Given how tough the schedule is, I don't think they'll win the division, and I have them just missing the playoffs, barely. But you know what? They keep finding ways to win games. Maybe they're gonna sneak their way in. We'll find out. They have a big one against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers this week, though. This one, not the most entertaining game. Texans win this one 16-13 over the Titans. It was Davis Mills for Houston. And, Tennessee was ahead, late in this one. And this was just a weird game. Houston couldn't get the offense going until the second half. They were down 3-0, in the third quarter. It just, I don't know about this one, CJ Stroud was out. I think at the end of the day, all this game really is the Titans climbing closer to maybe the first overall pick, and the Texans surviving in the playoff race still without their starting quarterback. Big one for the Texans this Thursday. I'm excited for that one. It should be a great game. You have the Texans hosting the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football. I hope CJ Stroud plays. It doesn't look good. I'm hearing it might be Davis Mills again. I think they're capable of winning that game with this amazing defense they have. Maybe they can make Josh Allen commit some turnovers. So we'll find out. But it's a big game for Houston. The difference between 6-5 and 5-6 is pretty large. I mean, 5-6, and you can maybe lose one more game the entire rest of the season. 6-5, and all of a sudden you're like a game back. So big one on Thursday night, and Tennessee, not much to talk about with their future this season. This one here, Carolina beats Atlanta. Carolina finds a way, 6-5. Maybe this might be a record for a team so low in analytics, so low in betting odds, so low in basically every measure you can have, having a winning record at this point in the season. Because I mean, analytics hate them, right? Like it's only giving them like a 20-something% chance to win either of their next couple games. The Vegas odds hate them. They have still towards the bottom, still at major plus money to make the playoffs. It's crazy that they are 6-5 right now. But props to them for finding ways in games. Bryce Young throwing for darn near 500. He was out for a minute in that game. I think there was a concern about an injury, but obviously he came back. Penix actually did go out hurt in this one, and man, Atlanta, they dropped to 3-7, and a big thing to remember with Atlanta is the season might be lost now, but losing games doesn't help them. They don't have their first round pick. Their first round pick belongs to the Los Angeles Rams, so losing does them no good. But they're probably they're out of the playoff race at 3-7 because Atlanta's not going to win out. And they're not going to make it with 8 losses this year, I don't think. So tough season for Atlanta, not the way they thought it would go. Carolina, they have life. And it might not have been pretty to get to this point, but if you're a Panthers fan, sitting at 6-5 with a half game back in the division, you control your own destiny because you play Tampa Bay twice. I think that's all you could ask for at this point in the season. Now, I'd be very shocked if the Panthers, found a way to make the playoffs, but you never know. It'd be awesome to see them slip in there. It's been a minute, so I would like to see them do that. And wishing them the best of luck down the stretch. And then this one here, Green Bay 27-20 over the New York Giants. The Packers continue to look relatively unimpressive. That's kind of the summary of their season apart from the first couple weeks. They got it, they found a way to get this one done in the end. It was looking in question for a while there. Jordan Love was dinged up but came back. At the end of the day, this is just one they're glad to have. They're just glad to see one go in. Glad to get a win here because they're coming off the loss, and they got to head on the road to play a Giants team who gets Jameis Winston, and whatever his ceiling may be as a quarterback, the energy he brings to that team. It wasn't an easy task here, and they went on the road and they got the job done. So props to them, 6-3-1. They host the Minnesota Vikings next week. That's an important game. You got to take care of business at home. So we'll see if they can do that. And then moving on here, Niners 41-22 over the Cardinals, and Brock Purdy looked great in his return. He looked very, very good. He was efficient. He was throwing the ball really well, especially early in this game. I mean, the Niners looked good. Again, they were playing the Cardinals, but, I thought the Cardinals were going to keep this thing close, and they did not. I mean, Brissett threw the ball 57 times, by the way, which is insane. Absolutely insane. He had 2 players in double-digit receptions, just crazy stuff there. But, yeah, Niners 7-4, and if they can play to that level they played on Sunday every week with how easy their schedule is, and let me tell you, it is so easy. It's unfairly easy, to be honest. There's no reason this team shouldn't be in the playoffs. They should be in the playoffs without a doubt. I mean, they're good enough, they're well coached enough, and the schedule is easy enough. They'll find their way in. And if they don't, it's either just even more injuries or just like an absolute meltdown. So we'll see there. But good win for the Niners. And then the big one in the NFC West, this was an interesting game. Rams won this one 21-19 to take sole possession of first place in the West over the Seattle Seahawks here. And, I've been talking about it, right? Let's just rewind here. Seattle is they're stacked, right? Their defense is playing lights out. The offense has been incredibly efficient, and Darnold had been amazing. But I kept saying, Seattle, as great as they've looked, they have not beaten anybody yet. Their best win was still against Pittsburgh. And Sam Darnold, as we know, in big moments, when the lights are bright, when the pocket gets dirty, he struggles. And he threw 4 interceptions. 3 of them, borderline all 4, but for sure 3 of them was facing significant pressure from the Rams pass rush. And that is what was holding me back from liking Seattle. Seattle fans were giving me a lot of crap, and I just think that this shows why I'm scared they have a ceiling with Darnold. Now, on the flip side, they threw 4 picks and they lost this game by 2 points, right? That's impressive. That's very impressive. I absolutely give them props for that, right? Because that's difficult to do. That says something about you to still be in the game. The Rams weren't necessarily taking advantage of it. And the Rams' very good offense, was held back a little by Seattle. The Rams did have the 1 fumble and the 1 failed 4th down. So, kind of essentially 2 turnovers there. But yeah, this was a crazy game, and Seattle having a chance at the end was nuts after throwing 4 picks. And I'm ready for round 2 of this one, honestly. I think it's going to be fun again. They meet on a Thursday night in like 4-5 weeks or so. It's late in the season. That'll be fun, and it should be very meaningful. But this was a heavyweight clash here. It was a great game, as we saw. It came right down to the wire, the missed 61-yard field goal. And, both these teams should easily find their way into the postseason this year. But moving on then, Chiefs and Broncos. Wow. This one's tough for the Chiefs. That's a tough one to swallow. They were coming out of a bye. They were coming off of a big loss to the Bills. They had to have this one. They absolutely had to have it, and they lost. That is one of the first times that's happened to the Chiefs, it feels like, with Mahomes, where it's a gotta have it game, backs against the wall, and they fall flat. This Denver defense is legit. Obviously, I think we knew that. We knew the Denver defense was legit. It was really down to the offense, and the offense wasn't flashy by any means. But what it was enough. It was enough. They were relatively inefficient on the ground, but Nix played pretty clean football, almost threw for 300, and he did enough to get the win. Put his team in position and kick that last second field goal. And the Broncos now, to me, are the clear favorite to win this division. I think I would be shocked at this point if they didn't win the division. I don't think the Chiefs are catching them for sure. Chiefs are, even if the Chiefs won out, the Broncos' schedule, while not easy, it's in a good enough spot where I'd be surprised if they lost enough games to lose that lead. Still possible because they play the Chiefs again, Chargers again, Packers. I think those are their tough games. So I guess they would have to lose all 3 of those, and Chiefs would have to win out to get past. So I'd be surprised if that happened. And then you have the Chargers, but the Chargers look so shaky. I mean, this feels like the Broncos might have just won this division. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm very happy to see it. I kept saying, and I'll be honest, I doubted the Broncos this week, and I think rightfully so. This offense has not proven to be capable. But at the end of the day, they got the job done here against a very good Chiefs team. And if they can do that, if they can continue to put up enough offense like they did in this game, they're going to win a lot of games with the defense they have. So props to the Denver Broncos, 9-2, should win the division. Don't mess up now. They get a bye week and then they get an easy game coming out of the bye. They're in Washington on what is a Sunday night game, so that actually kind of stinks. That'll be a snooze fest. Denver should blow them out unless Jaden Daniels comes back. We'll see. But a great win for the Broncos on Sunday. And then in Cleveland, we had ourselves a ball game late into the game. It was 16-10, Cleveland with the lead, and it looked like they had a real chance to win this thing. And they just kind of fell apart at the end. Sanders came in for an injured Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel, obviously, as you can see by the stat line, 7 for 10, 68 yards, wasn't doing much. And it's tough to judge a rookie off, first game where you come in against a good Ravens team, but also at the same time, Sanders, he looked pretty bad. 4 for 16, a pick, and some bad sacks where he maybe lost more yardage than he needed to. But it is tough to come in that spot. So not a great read off of just one game, but this one stinks for Cleveland. It felt like one that they absolutely had a chance to win. And I bet Steelers fans were really hoping they could pull it out here. But Baltimore finds a way at the end. They keep chugging along. It was actually that 4th and 1 Mark Andrews 35-yard rushing touchdown that sealed this thing for them essentially. And the Ravens are still just one game back of Pittsburgh. Baltimore is still the favorites to win this division. And we'll see if they can keep finding ways to win there. But good win for the Ravens on the road. Cleveland with that defense is never a gimme game. And then the Sunday night game, we'll close it out talking about this. Low scoring one. Man, the Eagles are not playing entertaining football, but